Today we are going to find out who finally won the biggest trade war in human history that happened between China under Xi Jinping and United States under Donald Trump. According to many experts, this trade war has the ability to determine which country will become the next most powerful global superpower. So let's start and find out who won the trade war. China and United States are the two biggest economies in the world right now. United States is a neoliberal democracy and it follows the principles of a free market economy. The People's Republic of China, on the other hand, has a uniparty government and it is ruled by the Communist Party of China. So then how did these two economies manage to have one of the biggest trading relationships in the world right now? Why are USA and China so interdependent on each other on the matter of trade? To get the answer to this question, we have to move a little bit back in history. 25 years ago, in the year 2000, US President Bill Clinton signed the US-China Relations Act of 2000. This act established permanent normal trade relations between USA and China. Because of this act, China managed to join the World Trade Organization in 2001. Between 1980 and 2004, US-China trade rose from $5 billion to a whopping $231 billion. Right now, United States is the number one destination for Chinese exports. From 2000 to 2018, China and US continued to grow their trade relations. While China was quite comfortable with the direction of its trade relationship with United States, the US started to have many problems. Since the year 2000, United States imports from China have been much larger than its exports to China. This has resulted in a huge trade deficit, and this trade deficit peaked in the year 2018. In 2018, US suffered a trade deficit of $418 billion. And what did this huge deficit mean for the United States economy? Since the year 2000, the US has suffered a massive decline in its manufacturing jobs. This is commonly known as the China shock. The Economic Policy Institute estimated that the trade deficit with China costed the United States around 2.7 million jobs between 2001 and 2011. Since the year 2000, there were several attempts to repeal the Permanent Normal Trade Agreement with China. In the year 2005, popular progressive politician Bernie Sanders and 61 other co-sponsors introduced a legislation that would repeal the Permanent Normal Trade Relations Act with China. Many American politicians want to reduce this huge trade deficit they have with China. Some have tried to repeal the trade agreement that Bill Clinton signed with China, while Trump, who was the president of the United States between 2016 and 2020 and who is also the current president of the United States, has used tariffs as a weapon to reduce this huge trade deficit. Since the 1980s, Trump wanted tariffs to eliminate the US trade deficit and promote domestic manufacturing. Imposing tariffs was a major campaign promise of Trump when he was running for the post of president. The problem with this approach is that many economists have said that Trump's tariff will do more harm to the American economy than good. Some economists have argued that rather than using tariffs to reduce this trade deficit, the US should consume less and save more, the US should depreciate the exchange rate, or the US should tax capital inflows. Now let's look at the current trade war between Trump and Xi Jinping. Trump has listed many problems that he has with China. One is, of course, the huge trade deficit, but he has many more problems and issues with China. On February 1, 2025, Trump signed an executive order and declared a national emergency regarding drug trafficking from China into the United States. He said that the Chinese government was providing a safe haven for criminal organizations to launder the revenue from production, shipment, and sale of illegal drugs. Trump wants China to take action on the drug named fentanyl, which has been central to the United States opioid crisis. On April 2nd, Trump imposed a 34% tariff on China. On top of the 34%, Trump also applied another 24% tariff named as fentanyl tariff. And of course, China will not just sit and watch Trump messing with the trade relations between United States and China. So China responded to these moves by Trump by imposing a matching 34% tariff on American goods. China suspended negotiations regarding the sale of TikTok. China also restricted exports of six heavy rare earths and rare earth magnets. Trump then responded to these moves by imposing an additional tariff of 50%, bringing the baseline tariff on China to 104%. A tariff of 104% would take some months to destroy the entire trade between United States and China. China then raised its tariff to 84%, US then raised its tariffs to 145%, and China then raised its tariffs to 125%. Again, a tariff rate of more than 100% by any nation will completely destroy the exports of another country. But then China and United States started negotiations, and on May 12, both countries reached a truce. Trump reduced his tariffs on China to 30% and China reduced its tariff to United States to 10%. This was not a permanent move. The trade negotiations between US and China are still ongoing. This now finally brings us to the present, and who is more likely to win this trade war, Trump or Xi Jinping? Let's see. At present, China seems to have an upper hand over Trump in this trade war. China is moving in a carefully planned way, while Trump seems to have no consistent position on trade, economy, or nearly anything. Trump is known to have a very fickle mind. To counter the tariffs imposed on China by Trump, in the last few years, China has already diversified its exports to other countries, especially with the Belt and Road Initiative. The Belt and Road Initiative is an ambitious infrastructure project that links East Asia to Europe. This project has also expanded to Africa, Australia, and Latin America. Because of tariffs, China has diverted some of its exports from the United States to Southeast Asia, South America, Africa, and Europe. This move has averted a slowdown in the Chinese economy due to tariffs and has resulted in a sustained economic growth for the Chinese economy. Trump has also placed some exports restrictions to China, but the problem with this is that China can import many of these things from other nations. Like China can import soya beans from Latin America, aeroplanes from Europe. The biggest problem China seems to be having right now is the lack of high-tech chips, which the US has restricted from China. These high-tech chips are very important for the AI race. If Trump restricts the export of high-tech chips to China, China will have a severe disadvantage in the artificial intelligence sector of its economy. China has many low and medium tier chips, but experts have estimated that China will need at least 5 or more years to build high-tech AI chips in China itself. On the other hand, the US ran into some major problems because of this trade war. On October 9th, China expanded its restrictions on the export of rare earth metals. China increased the number of elements on its export restrictions list. This led to panic in American economy because these rare earth elements are very important for many American companies. Rare earth materials are used in chemical processing, petroleum refining, computers, hybrid vehicles, in steel, clean energy, defense manufacturing, and many more other sectors. China has nearly complete domination in rare earth production and refining. China has nearly 61% of global rare earth reserves. 70% of the world's rare earth mining is done by China, and nearly 90% of the world's rare earth refining is done in China. To mine rare earths in other countries and to refine rare earths outside China, it will take a lot of time and money, which Trump really does not have right now because Trump will leave office after nearly 3 years. If China uses the weapon of rare earth restrictions, then there will be lots of new problems for Trump. US soybean farmers also faced lots of problems because China stopped importing soybeans from United States. Instead, China bought soybeans from Brazil and Argentina. There is another problem for Trump in this trade war, and that is the stock market. Trump and his allies are very sensitive to the US stock market movement. They really do not like when US stock market tanks. In the previous Trump term, starting in 2016, Trump used to judge his approval by looking at stock market. If stock market was doing good, Trump assumed he was doing a good job. And if stock market was tanking, Trump thought that he was doing something wrong. Despite China seemingly having an upper hand in this trade war, US and China have reached a one-year trade truce after the Trump-Xi talks on 30th October. Trump and Xi Jinping met each other in South Korea after nearly 6 years, and the temporary trade truce between them shows that the price of confrontation was too high for both of them. And Trump seems to have gotten away with a temporary trade deal that slightly favors the United States. Trump said the latest meeting between them was 12 out of 10. Trump and Xi announced reciprocal visits by each leader within a year. Only time will tell whether the latest trade truce between America and China is going to lead to a durable trade deal or not. In the latest trade talks, China has agreed to stop its potentially crippling new restrictions on the exports of rare earth materials for at least a year. China agreed to buy US soybeans once again. China has also agreed to do more to control the exports of some of its chemicals that are used to make fentanyl. In return, Trump has reduced its tariff on China from 55% to 45%. This is the picture from the latest meet between Trump and Xi Jinping in South Korea. On the plane home from South Korea, on the subject of US allowing the exports of high-tech chips to China, Trump said that this issue did not come up in their meeting and this issue was between China and Nvidia. But I don't understand how this issue can be between China and Nvidia when Nvidia was more than happy to export its latest chips to China, but Nvidia stopped exporting the latest chips to China when the US government restricted the exports of high-end tech chips to China. Trump said that the issue of Taiwan was also not discussed. Now both sides know what leverage they have on each other's economy, what vulnerabilities they have, and what trade weapons can work best. Now the US will try to assess how much of its exports China was able to reroute to other countries. Meanwhile, US inflation has reached nearly 3%. The latest truce is only for a year, and this is probably to China's advantage. This time enables China to push further ahead in the technologies of the future, including green technology and manufacturing. China now dominates these fields, and these fields are the centerpiece of the new Chinese 5-year economic plan. If there are any other major developments on this issue in the future, I will try to cover it and make another video about it. In the meantime, if you found this video interesting, then make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. And thanks for watching.